The Maple Leafs have their streak end, but are still playing well. The Raptors are in a nosedive while Lionel Messi looks to make history at the World Cup. Hey everyone, Rob Wong, joined alongside by Toronto Sun sports columnist Steve Simmons. And Steve, the Maple Leafs finally saw their point streak come to an end at 15 games after a road loss to the Rangers, but they're currently still the third shortest odds to win the Stanley Cup. True or false? This is the best Leafs team in the core.
I'm going to give a big true to that with two provisos. One, we're sitting here in December, and the season has many months to go. And two, we don't know who they'll play in the playoffs, which is always, because of the division they're in, a question to deal with. But yes, this is the best Leaf team for the Austin Matthews, Mitch Marner, Tavares, whoever you want to call the big four, the core four, for a number of reasons. Number one, William Nylander is playing the best hockey of his life. I'm not sure he's been this good in any other season. Tavares is probably playing the best he's played as a Leaf this year. So add those two together with Austin Matthews sort of changing and developing his game, a little bit more complete, full ice kind of player, and Mitch Marner having the kind of year he's having. So you put those four together with another thing that's maybe more important than anything else. Last time I checked, Leafs were second in the NHL in goals against and second in the NHL in save percentage. They've only been in the top 10, I think, 3 times in the last 30 years. That's a huge difference from where they were last year, year before, in any of the time since these guys have played here. The last time they were top 2, Pat Burns was the coach. And they had a great playoff run, and that was Burns' first season. So it gives you some kind of indication of what's possible for this group.
Yeah, it turns out when you get good goaltending, good things are going to happen. Meanwhile, the other Toronto team going right now, the Raptors, are headed in the opposite direction. A lot has been made, Steve, of Masai Ujiri's vision of 6'7", 6'9" players all over the court. As of right now, it is not working. Is it time for the team to adjust?
Well, it's been time for the team to adjust for a while. And I would have liked to have seen what this team would be had Otto Porter played at all, because they brought him in to be a three-point shooter, and he's been sort of a career 40% guy in that way. And so they haven't had him healthy at all. And you add that to Fred VanVleet not playing to the level he's played or shot to the level he's played in the past. So what you have is an NBA where three-point shooting means everything, and the Raptors are among the worst at it. So that's not a good place to be. The experiment, what Masai Ujiri put together was really interesting because he threw things at teams that didn't know what to do with. But what he had to do was he had to improve the guard play, and he had to bring in another shooter or two. He brought in a shooter who hasn't played. And he did the guard play improve? No, it's gotten worse, actually. So VanVleet's not as good as he was last year. The guys behind him didn't develop the way the Raptors looked for them to develop in Delano Banton and Malachi Flynn. And so they're very thin at guard, and they're very thin at shooting from the outside. And, you can't be that in today's NBA and succeed no matter how many, 6'8", 6'9" guys you have up front, offensive rebounding and doing the things that they were surprising teams with last year. They're not surprising anyone right now, except maybe themselves in how poorly they've performed.
Finally, the World Cup final goes on Sunday between Argentina and France. Lionel Messi's last kick at the can, you would think, at a World Cup championship. He's won everything, Steve. If he finally gets the job done against France, is he the greatest soccer player of all time?
Well, I think my age looks at things a little bit differently because I grew up hearing about Pele. And then you'd listen and Pele this and Pele that. And so in the back of my mind, it's always everybody and Pele. And so is Messi the greatest of this generation? Absolutely. Is he the greatest of all time? I don't have enough to sort of compartmentalize where do you put Pele, where do you put Messi. I mean, it's kind of like in other sports, where do you put, Federer versus Pete Sampras versus Rod Laver. Guys of different eras and different times. It's so hard to compare, and we're so caught up in titles and legacies, and this guy is the greatest of all time. There is no question that no matter what happens Sunday, that Lionel Messi is one of the spectacular soccer players of our lives and anybody's life. But you know, I like to see the cameras side by side and have film of Pele and film of him, and now let's figure it out.